Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Wednesday, August the 5th. I'm Gary Stevens. Normally, we would be having a little bit of open line time today, but at this particular juncture, but we do not. We have on the other side of our Zoom connection a very gracious guest to us to talk a little bit about what's went on yesterday. He is the Clerk and Register of Deeds of Ottawa County. Justin Roebuck joins us. Good morning, Justin, and hopefully you're bright and chipper and ready to go after, shall we say, a vigorous night last night.
That's right. We got a couple hours of sleep. We're doing great. We're good.
Let me talk a little bit about yesterday's primary election. The numbers, and I'm looking at the website, the latest numbers, and let me hit the refresh button here. You had 114 of 115 precincts reporting, and now it's still there. 34.1% turnout, but not 34% of those people were actually physically at the polls yesterday. That's just the ballots that came in. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's currently on the website there is including some out-of-county precincts, of course, that cover our school districts in Allegan and Muskegon counties. So Ottawa County's precincts are fully reporting this morning. But it was an incredible day. Honestly, we had a really good, smooth day overall. And as you say, that that 34% really represents significant turnout for us. So that is a record for our August primary turnout, at least dating back to 2000. And so we're kind of looking back in the vault to see where exactly we've had a turnout in an August primary that's been that high, but certainly a record in the past 20 years. And 68% of those ballots were cast by mail.
Or dropped off at the local clerk's office as somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those ballots were dropped off in drop boxes, which is a great way to do it. Frankly, it's a convenient option. Every one of our 23 local jurisdiction clerks has a drop box. And so that's simple for voters. You don't have to worry about postage. And of course, you can you have a little bit more time to do that because you can do it up until 8 p.m. on election night.
Let's talk about trying to count those votes. You had to wait till 8 o'clock, or did you maybe start a few minutes early?
No, yeah, absolutely. So what happens with absentee ballots in Michigan, they can begin to be counted at 7 a.m. when the polls open. So at 7 a.m., that's when a lot of our local jurisdictions began counting. And some didn't start as early as 7 a.m., just depending on the volume of absentee ballots that they had. But we had election workers and they're certified, trained workers, Republican and Democratic representation in these what we call absentee counting boards. And so it looks basically like an election precinct, but they're separate as they're just counting absentee ballots. So they're opening ballots, verifying information there, and processing them through the tabulators. And they started yesterday morning along with our other election workers.
So that sort of helped you in terms of getting a jump on the situation so that you didn't have to worry about, having to have this drag even further than the 1:34 time. I'm looking at the website that the results were finally fully in.
Exactly. And, and a lot of that depends. I mean, 1:30 is not really typically that late for everything to be fully reporting. I mean, I think we're mostly reporting by about 11 o'clock or so. And, sometimes it takes time to wrap up. We received over 6,000 ballots yesterday. So when you think about that, 6,000 absentee ballots came in yesterday. That takes a significant amount of time and effort on the part of those absentee counting boards to go through their processes to add those ballots into the mix on election day as well. And so, it took a little bit of time. And I think that's to be expected, as we gear up for November. I would anticipate that we could have upwards of 100,000 ballots cast by absentee voters in Ottawa County. So, I think we need to kind of shift our level of expectation to say, we want to get this right. We want to get this accurately. Timeliness is important, but it is not the most important thing. The accuracy and the integrity of that process is definitely weighs more heavily than the timeliness. So
395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Ottawa County Clerk Justin Roebuck.
Yeah, hi. It was interesting to watch the news last night. Of course, they're out at polling places talking about the safety and the PPE, and all that kind of stuff. And every channel I saw, people were saying the reason they wanted to go vote is because they don't trust the absentee ballot system, which is, of course, a mantra we hear from top down. I know that I was able to receive my ballot. Receive my application, submit it. I got the absentee ballot. I ended up dropping it off. No, I mailed mine. I dropped off my wife and my daughter's. But then at that point, we could track online where that ballot was, when it was processed. And we have wonderful technology now that you can track everything through I think it's through the Secretary of State, I believe, Michigan, right, to be able to track that. So, I mean, there's never been a better time to verify that your ballot got there, that it was counted. So it's just a funny thing that is pumped up over and over how we should all be scared about this, and is really the best thing. And I'm happy to vote absentee from now on, and I'm glad that it's legal and that nobody can tell me I can't. So but one other question I have is, do you need help? Are there poll workers who are needed to count absentee ballots? Is that, because I know you can go work the polls and be there at the church or wherever else to people who can vote in public or in person, but are there options to help behind the scenes?
Well, that is a great question, and I couldn't have said it better myself. The answer to that is yes, we do need help. We do need help counting absentee ballots, and we're going to be ramping up our recruitment efforts county-wide for the November election. As I was just saying to Gary earlier, I think we saw a clear record number of total voter turnout and absentee turnout for August, and I don't expect that to be different in November. So absolutely, if you want to reach out to our office directly, we can put you in touch with, if you want to email elections@miottawa.org, elections@miottawa.org. We'll put you in touch. We'll make sure that you get trained and certified. So for any of our listeners who are interested in that process, we would love to have you. And it's a great way to contribute to the civic process as well. But I think the caller said it really, really well. Absentee votes are counted and processed by the exact same people that are processing them in the precinct. They're your neighbors, people in your community who are volunteering to do this and take it really seriously and go through some, significant training to get it done. But it's a convenient option. We love voting in person as well. I have a couple of little ones, and I love going to the precinct with them and kind of showing them what that looks like. But we voted by mail in August this time. It was just more convenient. We wanted to support that process and support our election workers who are really working hard. But overall, we had 72,000 ballots cast in Ottawa County, and 23,000 voters voted in person in the precincts. But I'll tell you what, that number of absentees really did help our election workers in the precinct, as they had to deal with a lot of other issues related to the pandemic, social distancing, and cleaning and sanitizing of all the voting booths. And they did a phenomenal job yesterday, and we were out in the precincts with them and saw the work they were doing, and they did a great job.
That caller timed it perfectly, because there was an op-ed piece in today's Detroit News, was reprinted from the LA Times by Maya Patel. Young people must work election polls during COVID-19 pandemic and after. And her thing is this: young people should step up and be poll workers, paid for the work, wildly rewarded, to help hundreds of people vote, many of them college students for the first time. We're kind of gray in terms of how the election workers. We need some younger people in there.
Well, and that's the thing. I think we owe a lot to the generation of people who have given and given and given to our civic process by helping in the polling place. And that article makes a good point, because it is paid work. It's actually, workers are compensated for it, but it's volunteering in the sense that you're dedicating a long day and in a lot of cases taking a day off of work to do it. But I agree wholeheartedly. I think we owe it to that generation that has given so much to us in the polling places in really helping us. So it's a great opportunity to see behind the scenes what really is happening in the process, to be a part of that, and to know that your work matters for your fellow citizens and for your neighbors.
One final thing, Justin Roebuck, about yesterday's election. I don't think you had the drama in Ottawa County that Allegan County had. They had one municipality, Fillmore Township, didn't have the results in until later on this morning, just a little while ago.
Sure.
And I just double checked them. And the reason why I was keeping an eye on them, because the Allegan County Republican primary for prosecutor between Myrene Cook, the incumbent, and Mike Villar, the challenger, before the Fillmore Township vote was in, Villar was leading by 16. After the Fillmore Township vote came in, Cook won by 17 votes.
The prayer of every election administrator is that the margins will be wide. So, my colleague Bob Janetsky does a wonderful job in Allegan, and I tell you, it's a tough responsibility, and sometimes the elections are close, and and especially in these August primaries, because we have so many local races, right? I mean, obviously the county prosecutor is a large race, but we do have a lot of township races where sometimes those margins can be really thin, and that is where I think what I was saying earlier about the integrity and the accuracy outweighs the timeliness. We want to get results out quickly, but man, we want to get them right first, and it really shows in races where they're that close. It pays to take the time and get it right, and I'm sure they're doing a great job over there in doing that.
As I said, maybe the drama wasn't in Ottawa County this time. I don't know whether or not we'll have it in September, November, but we'll certainly find out. Ottawa County Clerk Justin Roebuck and Register of Deeds, I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning on WHTC's Talk of the Town on short notice and short sleep. I know, yeah, same here in this particular thing as well.
Exactly. You guys in the media don't get much more sleep than we do. That's for sure.
Well, actually, the ones that did the covering last night, they're still sleeping. Some of us, we got the 6 hours of chatting with our listeners. So we'll talk to you again later on this month, I assume.
Yeah, that sounds great, Gary. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. That is Ottawa County Clerk and Register of Deeds, Justin Roebuck.